Welcome to Reading Book. You are listening to A Cup of Tea by Katherine Mansfield. Let's begin. Madam, stammered the voice, would you let me have the price of a cup of tea? A cup of tea? There was something simple, sincere in that voice. It wasn't in the least the voice of a beggar. Then, have you no money at all? Asked Rosemary. None, madam, came the answer. How extraordinary! Rosemary peered through the dust, and the girl gazed back at her. How more than extraordinary! And suddenly, it seemed to Rosemary such an adventure. It was like something out of a novel by Dostoevsky, this meeting in the dust. Supposing she took the girl home. Supposing she did do one of those things she was always reading about or seeing on the stage, what would happen? It would be thrilling. And she heard herself saying afterwards to the amazement of her friends, I simply took her home with me, as she stepped forward and said to that dim person beside her, Come home to tea with me. The girl drew back, startled. She even stopped shivering for a moment. Rosemary put out a hand and touched her arm. I mean it, she said, smiling. And she felt how simple and kind her smile was. Why won't you come home with me now in my car and have tea? You don't mean it, madam, said the girl, and there was pain in her voice. But I do, cried Rosemary. I want you to please me. Come along. The girl put her fingers to her lips and her eyes devoured Rosemary. You're not taking me to the police station? She stammered. The police station? Rosemary laughed out. Why would I be so cruel? No, I only want to make you warm and to hear anything you care to tell me. Hungry people are easily led. The footman held the door of the car open, and a moment later they were skimming through the dusk. There, said Rosemary. She had a feeling of triumph as she slipped her hand through the velvet strap. But of course, she meant it kindly. Oh, more than kindly. She could have said, Now I've got you, as she gazed at the little captive she had knitted. She was going to prove to this girl that wonderful things did happen in life, that fairy godmothers were real, that rich people had hearts, and that women were sisters. She turned impulsively, saying, Don't be frightened. After all, why shouldn't you come back with me? We're both women. If I'm the more fortunate, you ought to expect. But happily at that moment, for she didn't know how the sentence was going to end, the car stopped. The bell was rung, the door opened, and with a charming, protecting, almost embracing movement, Rosemary drew the other into the hall. Warmth, softness, light, and the sweet scent, and all those things so familiar to her, she never even thought about them. She watched the other received. It was fascinating. She was like the rich girl in her nursery with all the cupboards to open, all the boxes to unpack. Come upstairs," said Rosemary, longing to begin to be generous. "Come up to my room." And, besides, she wanted to spare this poor little thing from being stared at by the servants. She decided as they mounted the stairs she would not even ring for Jean, but take off her things by herself. The great thing was to be natural. And there, cried Rosemary again as they reached her beautiful big bedroom with the curtains drawn, the fire leaping on her wonderful lacquer furniture, her gold cushions, and the primrose and blue rugs. The girl stood just inside the door. She seemed dazed. But Rosemary didn't mind that. "Come and sit down," she cried, dragging her big chair up to the fire. "In this comfy chair. Come and get warm. You look so dreadfully cold." To be continued. Just keep on listening to Reading Book for more stories. Have a nice day.